Okay,
Hi,
so
Bernadette.
hi.
Thanks for wanting to do this little interview with me. You expressed an interest in taking our birth doula course and or the postpartum doula course.
Yep.
And I suggested that we have an interview like this, and you were willing to do it. So ask away.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I think just with how the dates are lining up for myself, it's going to work out perfectly to do both classes. The one starting in May, the postpartum, and then going into the birthing at the same time. I guess I'm just going to refer to what I had written down. There wasn't too many questions. You had the little frequently asked questions PDF, which was really helpful, answered a lot. So I guess, and I know you're not, Candice, you're not the instructor for the postpartum, but some of my questions are pertaining to that. And I guess the first one I wrote down was, is there pre-reading for the postpartum? Because I know that I read in the PDF frequently asked questions that it'll be available for your class once we finalize the payment. But I didn't see anything for pre-reading for the postpartum.
No, that's a good question. I can answer most of your questions about the postpartum training because I've now taken it 3 times. So I do the admin for Candice when she's teaching.
Yeah.
And I have learned so much from her that I didn't know, because I've been in the birth field for 40 years, but most of my involvement is prenatal and the birth of the baby. And then about 5 days later, I'm out of there. And she continues on for months afterwards with these people with real difficulties and real life problems. So I've learned so much from her. We just had a class last night and it was amazing because there's a woman in our class who has twins, and she was just sharing so many resources and so much about families with twins. And that's often something that the postpartum doulas get called to, right? And these were things I never knew, because I think I've only been involved in maybe 5 sets of twins in my whole career. So I just don't know that much about twins. So that was a big help. But getting back to the question you just asked me, what was it?
It was just about pre-reading.
Oh, pre-reading.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to picture, see what happens. This is something we didn't realize with going on Zoom, because we were very attached to in-person trainings, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's turned out that there are some huge advantages to doing it online. And one of them is, like, we have the classroom on Zoom. And so you have your 2.5-hour class, no matter which course it is you're taking, the birth or postpartum one. And then we put homework and assignments and videos and reading material and things that we, websites that we really like. Because when you're doing this kind of training, you can go down all kinds of rabbit holes with people that are a bit flaky or whatever. So we really steer you towards things that are very trustworthy, let's put it that way, that when this particular midwife or physician speaks, we listen to them. We've learned which ones are good and which ones aren't. So I'm just trying to picture that classroom, and I don't think there's any pre-reading for the, I think what happens, did you get an FAQ paper for the postpartum one?
No, I haven't.
Okay, well, I'll send you that. And what I think is at the bottom of that FAQ document are 4 websites we would like you to visit. And, one of them I know is a doctor in Toronto who's fantastic at breastfeeding. And there's 4 listed. I think one is Candice's website. And so anyway, I think that's all we do with the postpartum is we ask you to just sort of bookmark those blogs or websites, and that they're good sources of information if you read on there a bit before you even start the class.
Yeah.
But it's really entry level. Like it's a lot of practical information, like, okay, if I show up at somebody's house as a postpartum doula, what's the first thing that I do?
Totally.
You know, and what you do, I'll tell you the answer to that question, is that you wash your hands and you announce it to everyone.
Yeah.
You not only wash your hands, but you make sure every adult in the house knows you washed your hands, so that they can first of all, get the idea that when people come into their house, they should be asked to wash their hands. Plus, they can stop worrying about, did you wash your hands? So
Totally.
I wouldn't have thought of that. I would just go and wash my hands, but announcing it, that's important.
Yeah, I can totally see that. Yeah, I think that's like kind of why this, because there is no certification needed, but it was a referral from another one of my friends who's been practicing becoming a doula for the last 6 years, who recommended you guys. So yeah, it's all word of mouth and who you can trust and who you want to rub shoulders with, and so kudos to you guys, like super, super high praises. And she'd done a number of classes as well, more on the hospital side and things. And this was, when I was trying to figure out where to even start, because the internet is a very vast place and I'm not great at online research. You were the first people to come out of her mouth. And I guess, let me just refer to my list again. Oh, there was a part where it said Candace, in Candace's write-up, that I don't know if she practices or if she is familiar with, I can't remember the wording, but it was birthing from within. And I was just wondering, is that like a method that she uses, or is that another class that you offer that she's taken? I just didn't really, it was in brackets.
Birthing from Within is a book,
Okay.
and I think it is also a course. And it's a very good book. It's about really going within yourself when you're pregnant I can't even remember what's all in it, but it seems to me, it's just me kind of remembering when I read it, and I liked it a lot. And it was things like, what did your mother say about birth? What did your father say about birth? What did your grandmother say? Like really what's imprinted in us at a young age, so that then, we might have gotten some mixed messages, or we might have gotten some misinformation, and then you can clear that stuff up before you start your birth process. So I think that's why she's talking about birthing from within. She probably did a course after she read the book, or something.
Because I Googled it and I saw it was a book, but I'm like, I wonder if it's more than just, because it's obviously important, because she's putting it in her write-up, and I was wondering if it was a course or something along those lines. So
and remember, when you see these books, sorry to interrupt you, but just remember, when you see these books, you have a public library somewhere near you. Totally. And a lot of these are available. Don't be like me, a book hoarder. Like, I can't say goodbye to my books, but I know they're all sitting at the library, and I'm really trying to discipline myself not to buy any more books, to actually tell my library to order them. We just finished a course that I taught for 10 weeks on being leaders in keeping boys intact. And
right up.
And that's something, just so you know, in both courses we're 100% intactivist. Like, don't even bother taking the course if you're not on that ship, because that's one that we don't fudge around at all about. That's just bottom line. But in that course it came up that there were like 50 books on keeping boys intact. And who knew? I mean, I've been in this movement for 40 years and I didn't even know there were that many out there, but there's a lot of books. And one of the commitments we all took away from the course was to get in touch with our libraries and ask them to get them in the shelves, you know, so that
Yeah,
you never know.
that's great. Like
Yeah.
I often buy secondhand books, but
Mhm.
then you're still adding to the problem of shelving them and then people don't get to read them once you're finished. It's definitely I'm gonna make a little note, because I definitely don't utilize my library enough. Um, so I'm gonna
Now
write
that they're all on computers, it's fantastic because you can search their shelves without even going there and get them
totally.
to put it outside on a table. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's great. And then I guess let's see. Um, I had written down, is there anything that I should be aware of? Like what came to mind was I'm taking these two classes simultaneously. Is there anything I need to mentally keep separate for my own simplicity's sake, or for, in regards to the test or anything like that? Or can I just let them all meld together and not really worry? Or if there's any other pieces of information that you think taking them both at the same time would be helpful to me.
You know, several people have done both at the same time. And I asked, I'm just trying to think of this. I asked one of the women, I think she was from Scotland. I asked her how that went for her and what she thought the benefits of taking both at the same time were. And she wrote me back a whole little paragraph about, what she thought, what she saw as the benefits of getting both certifications done together. So I could send you that because
Sure.
she's
Yeah.
the one who did it. To me, it seems like a lot of homework, but
Yeah.
but then
Yeah.
and just so you know, people freak out about when we have there's going to be an exam at the end. We view this education as adult education. We don't babysit you. We don't send you a message if you've missed 2 classes and say, where were you? You're an adult. You paid a lot of money for it. Show up or not, but we're not going to be your mom. And the new thinking in adult education, which we prescribe to, is that rather than rather than the teacher reading off to you from a book a whole bunch of information, what the new thinking is that give the class all the information ahead of time so they can read ahead everything that you're going to talk about, and then use the teacher to ask questions and unearth information. So we do use PowerPoint slides in the classes, and you get the PowerPoint slides, and usually you get them ahead of the class. So you can look through them and see, oh, we're going to talk about that, and I'd like to know something different because my friend had this happen, or something like that. And then the class is much richer for the students.
Yeah, it's
So
the second time around instead of the first time around. Totally.
yeah, so that, and then the other thing is with the exam, we don't intend it to be, I mean, who would take this course unless they were birth addicts, right? So we know that when you sign up, you're already super interested in the subject, and most of the students know a little bit about the subject. It is entry level, like we're not trying to have people be, PhDs in this, but it's when even doing the exam, we want you to learn from doing the exam. So the way the exam is set up, it's online and it's multiple choice or true and false, one or the other. And even if you give the wrong answer, it will tell you that's the wrong answer. And then you can go and look up what you got the wrong answer, and then you can come back and correct it and send your test in like that. So everyone should be getting 100% on the test. It's just a matter of, we want it to be a learning experience for you. I mean, why would we not? Like,
Totally.
We're
Yeah,
all
you have
learning,
you
right?
have a gap in your learning. You're obviously unsure about something, and then you're unsure about what aspect of it you got wrong. Yeah, it's definitely a flawed way that we normally do testing, especially multiple choice. So that's a great solution, because then yeah, it's like a final test, a final net to catch whoever didn't get that specific little nugget. So yeah, that's great. That definitely takes
Yeah.
some pressure. Like I've never had problems with tests, but yeah, I think everyone naturally is like, oh, okay, yeah, a little serious.
That's right.
Yeah,
People actually are terrified of tests.
yeah,
I know
totally.
the very first midwifery study group I taught, back in the early 80s, when I finished the course, the students all came to class with like petition arguments about how male chauvinist dominated, misogynist, just a million political arguments about why they shouldn't take the exam. I listened to all of their rattlings on, and I said, fine, I got it. Write your test. And they all did. but I've learned a lot about adult education since then. And I've really come to see that, yeah, like, I mean, the way I went through school, it was always trick questions and
Yes,
trying to, snag
totally.
you and try to prove that you're stupid and all this stuff. And we just don't do that anymore. It's just
Yeah,
not valuable.
it's unfair. It's not testing for the right things. What else did I have written down? Just more of a practical question about payment. I saw that there was, like, obviously, I guess now I know that there's a frequently asked question page for the postpartum as well, but can I e-transfer both funds to the same email in your frequently asked questions?
Yeah.
Okay, so both
Yeah.
both sums of money going to the one email address.
Yeah, it's either people pay either by PayPal or Interact. Every once in a while, we get someone from the States who's not on PayPal, and there's another thing like Interact in the States.
Like Novo or something. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, we don't take that, and they can't send money to Canada. So those people send a check.
Okay.
And that works out. Yeah.
Okay, great. So I'll be e-transferring you at the end of our little meeting then, because I'm looking forward to getting a head start. Yeah, my partner and I are heading to South Africa to visit his family. It's been 4 years. So
wow.
We're timing it out perfectly. Like, we're leaving April 10th, and then I come back. I have a couple weeks to basically regroup, get caught up on some reading, and then I'm like starting this class. So it's feeling very serendipitous that all the timing of both classes is working out. I'm like, okay, good. This is like next chapter ready to start. And then I guess when I was researching, not necessarily on your website, attending births is obviously a big part of training and becoming a doula and becoming confident as a doula. So I was wondering if there's going to be, obviously there'll be opportunities, but are there going to be really specific opportunities for attending births kind of after I get certified?
Well, that's a very good question too. This has been one of the weird things that we never anticipated about taking the course online. What we did when we were doing the courses live, like with people in a room, was, everyone would work with another doula candidate and practice doing interviews, practice asking questions to each other. So they would pair up in the classroom. Mm-hmm. So when we went on Zoom, we had to think about, well, how are we going to do that? Like, you really need to get practice getting comfortable with asking people what we normally think are very private matters. Like, will you keep your son intact if you have a boy? Like, yeah. Who asks that in general life? Nobody, right? But that's one of the questions as a doula that you would want to know in advance, just so you could give people handouts and information to not have them be regret parents, right?
Yeah.
And so what we did was we start off the birth doula class by right at the very beginning, sending you a little blurb that you put on social media or send out to your friends or whatever. And basically it says, I'm going to be taking a birth doula course. This is something I've wanted to do for a while. And they require that I have a pregnant model. And so if you know anyone who's pregnant, could you please, and wouldn't mind doing some response to questionnaires that I have to ask people who are pregnant. And what's ended up happening is that the women in the classes find someone, and they didn't even know they had a friend of a friend of a friend who was pregnant. And I just think everyone knows what a doula is. But guess what?
No, they don't.
Lots of people have never heard the word before,
Totally.
and
Or
they're pregnant.
or they think it's a midwife, or they think there's a lot of misconceptions for sure.
So they find this pregnant woman, and then she's like, I've never heard of a doula before. And what are you learning in your classes? And blah, blah, blah. They get to be friends.
Yeah.
And then the woman says, would you come to my birth?
Totally.
And this has happened so many times. And we're
Wow.
blown away. We're like, why didn't we do this before?
Yeah.
And because it's very simple for you to sit on your phone and ask questions and just be quiet and let the person answer. And people don't mind asking intimate, personal questions, you know, even things like, have you had a miscarriage or have you had an abortion? Any of those things, they just tell you because you're a doula student. And that's all there is to it. So you kind of find out that it is okay to ask these questions, and people don't mind if you know, I mean, right up front, just say, everything you say to me will be kept in confidence. That's the end of that. And then people will tell you everything. And do keep it in confidence for sure, right? But anyway, that's been one of the amazing things. So no, we don't offer taking people to births, because how could we? You know, if we have 16 people in the class, I can't wrangle your lives or what kind of, you know, jobs you're doing or what kind of restrictions your children might have on you or whatever. I have to just keep on teaching. But just the things come up. One of the things, just this another for instance, is that one of our students decided to make a Facebook group called Vancouver Postpartum Doulas. And do you live in the Vancouver area?
I do, but I don't use social media. And
good.
Yeah.
Don't start.
I won't. It was I didn't use it for a long time. I got on it because of all those wonderful things like these groups and, you know, Messenger, and there's so many benefits. But last year I deleted it again, all of it, and I'm not going back. And that was a big hurdle to try and figure out, like, can I, you know, move on with this next step in my life, you know, this career, and not have it be online at all. Obviously a website for sure, obviously means of communications via email and group chats and things like that. But no, I'm pretty certain that it's going to be all, you know, get a business card, word of mouth. That's the way that things happen, you know, that are more legitimate, more genuine anyways. So I already feel a little FOMO, like fear of missing out. I'm like, oh, there's probably so much information and so many connections on these Facebook groups, but I'm like, no, I'm not doing it.
No, it's a huge time waster, and your life will be better overall if
I know
nobody knows your business. But one of the things, so just because you're an outlier, I'll just say this on this little video that for other people who are watching it who are completely addicted to these things, one of the students made up this group called Vancouver Postpartum Doulas, and it is amazing that they're listing jobs for each other. Like,
wow.
You know, somebody just had a baby and they need someone to stay overnight with their 3-year-old. Could somebody do this? And you know, back and forth and back and forth, and they're getting people placed in jobs that, again, we never had that before. Like, everybody just did their own thing.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's people just are creative about how to promote, and you'll learn lots of things. Candace, the woman who's the teacher for the postpartum, her husband is a graphic designer and like a website management person. So she knows a ton about how to do that. And both courses have a business component where you don't have to make up new client contracts or new intake forms or any of those things. We give you all of that, because why would we have you in reinventing the wheel? And you can modify them to be your own logo and do whatever you want with them, right? But we give you all those materials the way we use them, because both her and I have been in these businesses for a long time. And then, you have a template for what you want to do in your business. But we're very interested in people completing these courses and getting in action.
Yeah. And it's pretty amazing because you can take it wherever you want to take it. You can be so creative to your own personal skill sets, which is just like, wow, it's been obviously a very reflective last couple of years for, I think, everyone, but this just came out of nowhere peripherally. I grew up in Nelson and like kind of the valley. So it's lots of doulas. Everyone's aware what a doula is, but just realizing that, I can use all of my skills, whether it's from organizing a room to, liking doing some dishes for someone, just like helping clean up just really basic life things that I really get pleasure in, to maybe offering some sort of natural pedicure and now I'm even like, I've gotten some electrolysis done. I'm like, I think I'm going to get an electrolysis machine. Lots of pregnant women have, unwanted facial hair and things. So I'm just like, whoa, my brain just started going like, this could be endless. I can really just utilize every single thing that I find pleasure in. And then it's the most genuine. It's the most genuine time to connect with somebody. And then also in my little, research, I found out about even death doulas, which I didn't know existed. And it was just a lot of things were connecting, a lot of little light bulbs have been going off. So I'm feeling really, really excited and grateful. And I can't wait.
Yeah. I'm 74 years old and I got into this when I was 29. And it has given me a beautiful life where I really feel like I make a difference, and that I've met so many people I would never have met that I truly love. And my own health, like I know that I wouldn't have my uterus, for one thing. I wouldn't have, I at one time had a breast lump, and it was only because I knew a midwife and I shared with her that I had this breast lump, that I knew a different avenue to go rather than getting what is mammography done.
Oh yeah,
And just so many things, that I'm healthy and well and sailing through COVID without one single sniffle. I'm really grateful for this work, and it gives you a really good life that you really feel satisfied with. Plus, it's frustrating and upsetting, and you have roadblocks and upsets. But, me looking back from 74 to 29, I'm really glad I got into it. So,
yeah, that's so nice. And obviously you sort of combined teaching naturally, I'm sure. Do you think, like, there's obviously a high demand for birthing and postpartum doulas? I would love it if this was my sole, job, career, passion, but I didn't have to subsidize it with something else. Do you think that that's attainable, or what's your opinion?
there's lots of women doing it
Yeah,
full time,
totally.
and they're referred over and over again by people. Once they do a good job for people, people don't want to let you go.
Yeah.
And Yeah, you're going to meet in the postpartum course, you're going to meet a woman named Janice Lemay, who's one of our friends and a really very popular birth doula and postpartum doula. And Janice, even she has clients who take her on trips to Europe. And she said, I can't go to Europe. I have kids at home. And they said, bring your kids.
Yeah.
So they paid for her and her kids to go to Europe with them, but they just didn't think they could have any fun in Europe without her along.
Hilarious. And people just want a person, you know. It's like probably a bad analogy, but it's almost like a handyman, you know, where it's like
Exactly.
people just want someone they can trust and that can do and be what, you know, what they're missing in their lives. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I think I'm all out of questions, but
this is great. This will be a little half-hour video, and people will get lots of their questions answered. It's been a real pleasure to talk to you. I can't wait to meet you more.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, great.
Totally. Okay, thanks, Gloria. I think I'm going to send you the e-transfer, and I can't wait to start the reading.
All right. Well, let's get going, girl. All
okay.
Right.
Hey, so nice to meet you. Have a good day. Bye.